B. Smith has been many things in her life. A successful model, a famous restaurateur, a TV host, and a loving mother and wife. Now, she and her family are going through one of the toughest medical struggles there is, Alzheimer's disease. Today, B. Smith and her husband, Dan Gasby, are back with an update on her condition and to tell us about the horrible night B went missing.
It was a harrowing experience that lasted nearly 14 hours when former model and famed restaurateur B. Smith went missing. Smith, who has Alzheimer's disease, disappeared while traveling to New York City in November of 2014. Thankfully, she was found unharmed at a Manhattan restaurant close to where she once lived. This distressing incident focused the spotlight on this debilitating disease and what it's doing to a beloved American icon and her loved ones.
When you're used to doing things and doing a lot of things at one time, it feels like the air has been taken out of you and you're not quite the lady that you were.
You're not making tea with that, Barb.
What are we making it with?
No. You can't.
I know, but...
To keep B's mind stimulated,
I'm gonna read it out loud, right?
Yeah, I am gonna read it out loud.
her husband Dan reads the paper with her every day. They also do word games.
Clam.
Okay, great. What word is this?
Not always successfully.
J-U-N-K?
J-U-N-K. Ay, 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 ay. It makes me feel the way I am right now, tearful. Because I don't want him, you know.
Yeah, this is the tough part of it. I mean, we know that we're in a fight. I mean, and we're gonna fight back.
B. Smith and her husband, Dan Gasby, are here. God, I love you.
Good to see you again. Mwah.
Good to see you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
So I was so inspired last year when we sat down and I really began to understand what you were struggling with. How you doing this year?
I'm great. It's like a whole new me, and I'm feeling good, and you know, doing my best to be my best.
Well, that you've always been able to do.
Thank you.
Dan, your beautiful wife, 66. I was told I could mention that because no one's going to believe you're 66 if I don't say it.
I didn't tell. No, yes, she's very proud of how
You
old she is.
should be.
Oh.
You guys have been together 25 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're her primary caregiver.
Yes.
How are you keeping up?
Well, you know, they always say in football, everybody goes to the coach, but who does the coach go to?
Yeah, that's right.
And I have my ups and downs. I mean, that's the thing that we want people to know is that it's not easy being a caregiver. They're first responders.
So let's go to this really scary event that happened where you went missing, B.
Yes.
Maybe, Dan, we'll start with you. What actually happened? Give us the whole story.
Well, the long and the short of it is that I put B on a bus to go from where we lived in Long Island, Sag Harbor, into Manhattan to be picked up by our daughter. And everything went fine going in. And then they had a day together and met with some folks, and then our daughter was going to put her on the bus and take her, and I was going to meet her at the other end. And what happened was, where she met her originally was the first stop you got off. Right. And where she put her on was the next to the
So just
stop.
a subtle little change.
One little change. And what happened was she put her on the stop before the last stop, and she got off at the last stop and stayed and walked it throughout Manhattan all night long in a snowstorm, sleet, rain storm with just a thin jacket and high heels. And she was amazing. She was gone somewhere between 14 and 17 hours, walking up and down the streets from Lower Manhattan to Midtown, up to Harlem and then back.
Oh my goodness.
So we estimated that based on that, she did a marathon and a half in high heels.
High heels. You know, Dana, if your daughter's here,
Right.
Dana, what was it like for you? You put your mom on the bus. Your dad probably called you like an hour or two later saying, "Where's mom?" Then you have 14 hours of terror.
Tremendous guilt. I realized that one little change in the plan, and that just that changed everything. I realized that repetition has to be a part of my life when I'm dealing with her, because I know that small changes can mean the most.
So, B, do you remember this evening at all? I saw you getting emotional as you saw all the fear in our faces following the saga. But what do you remember about what happened that night, those 14 hours?
It was
Scary.
It was very scary, very scary. But
And when they finally found you?
when they found me, I was still standing.
So, I have a list of things Dan shared with us since this incident
Okay.
that are sort of the rules in the family. B can no longer be on her own. There has to always be someone with you. She has an ID bracelet, and you're not allowed to drive anymore.
That's the biggest bone of contention.
Why is that a big issue for you, the driving?
Because I've had my own car for years, and it makes me crazy that some people don't want me to. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's not some people. That's one people.
One people.
One
That's-
person doesn't want me to drive.
Here's the thing, doctor. My wife literally could do just about anything and do it effortlessly. And now it's hard to imagine someone who looks like her has this ability, or had this ability to do everything, now has, struggles to do certain things. And I try to tell her, a friend doesn't tell you what you want to hear or let you do what you want to do. They tell you what you need to know. And that's what I try to do.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, B and Dan's warning about Alzheimer's. You want to hear this. Stay here. Former TV host and model B. Smith cheering on the audience like you always do, and her husband Dan Gaspie are here. They have an update on B's struggle with Alzheimer's. There are about 5 million Americans that have Alzheimer's, and it's a disease that destroys memory and eventually a lot of bodily functions. And while we don't know what causes it, we are learning more and more about it, and that's where the power is. So I wonder if it's okay with you, show you a brain scan of someone who has Alzheimer's, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in your life.
Good.
Okay, B? Come on back
That's
here.
fine.
So you get to be escorted by
I have
me and Dan.
too.
How lucky we are. How lucky we are.
Whoa!
So, that's a healthy looking brain, right? You're supposed to have a
Yes.
little bit of yellow in there and sort of that blue. Now let me show you the brain of someone who has Alzheimer's disease. And these big red areas there, that's buildup of amyloid plaque. These are like potholes, literally potholes in the network of roads in the brain.
Right.
And these potholes force us out of alignment. So we're off the road altogether sometimes. Do you feel like that?
Sometime, yes. Yes.
And the thing about Alzheimer's is sometimes you can drive on roads that are okay.
Right.
Like I know when you're interacting with the audience, and I love this, you care about them so much that you're at peace. I don't know, Dan, if you notice it too, but
That's who she is. I mean, and that's what happens when your loved one has Alzheimer's. They do things that amaze you, and then they do things that bewilder you at the same time.
come and sit down again.
Okay.
So the thing about Alzheimer's, because it's such a bewildering disease, to Dan's point, is we're trying to figure out what causes those plaques, what causes those potholes and speed bumps that throw
Right.
you out of alignment. And there's no cure,
I know.
which is why I'm so passionate about your story. Because I want to understand more about your resilience and what the game plan is. Because remember, everybody, although Alzheimer's can't be cured, there are ways of slowing it down. And I'd love to know, Dan, what you and B are doing to try to accomplish that.
Well, there's a couple of things. One, we eat a healthy diet. There's no sugar in the house. We have lots of vegetables, fresh fruits, exercise, doing exercise that's strenuous and interval exercising. So she gets on an elliptical and does things sort of sprinting to get her heart
That's
rate
how
up.
you stay sexy looking.
Yes.
I thought it was me, but no. And the other thing, Doc, I mean, we do meditation. And the other thing is just positive attitude. And medicine. You know, she takes some medicine that keeps her mental clarity up. And that's it. And then the other thing we believe, quite honestly, Doctor, is that Sweetie's been blessed to be able to do a lot and impact a lot of people. We didn't want to hide. We didn't want to make excuses. Right. We didn't want to be put our hands above our eyes and make like things wouldn't happen. We know that if we create awareness and understand that just like the President of the United States, President Reagan had Alzheimer's, my wife has it, it can happen to anyone, but we need to. We spend billions of dollars on things like Ebola that basically 5 or 6 people have in this country. And Alzheimer's, like you said, 5 million people have it. By 2030, 2040, it'll be 15 million people. 50 million caregivers will be at that point, and it's amazing. And then one other reason that's very important. I believe that it's a 21st century civil rights issue, to be quite honest. 2 out of 3 people who have Alzheimer's are women. If you're over 65 years of age, you're more likely to have Alzheimer's, twice as likely to have breast cancer. You know, blacks are 2 to 3 times more likely to have it. The impact, it runs somewhere between 50 and 100,000 a year to care for somebody. So the people who have the least have the most to be impacted, and the government is spending a pittance on it. And so I want to make sure, if we can buy time, I believe in our country, I believe in science, I believe in medicine, I believe in the things that you're doing to break down stigmas. And if we can break down this stigma, you know, people don't want to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, you can't create awareness. And if you don't create awareness, you can't create change. And
Hallelujah. So, B, Dan just beautifully described what we need to do.
Right.
But I want to understand how you find hope.
How I find hope.
How do you keep strong in the face of Alzheimer's?
I went back to my family, and I started working with the family too, so that they understood what was happening with me, and still.
And Sweetie's she's a positive person. She, you know, I can tell you honestly, this woman wakes up with a smile. She goes to bed with a smile.
I see the smile lines. God bless you. Listen, what I would applaud you for is, before I forget, 'cause that's the name of the book, Before I Forget.
Good.
Because I would never forget to say it. It is beautiful. You write
you.
parts of it.
Right.
I really want you guys to all pay attention to this, because it's really important stuff. God bless you. I'm going to see you again.
Thank
Don't
you.
get lost anymore. You scared the heck out of us.
Thank you.
God bless you.
I
Can I
won't
just
get
say one
lost
thing,
anymore.
Doctor? What you do every day is you demystify things that people need to know, because you can never assume people understand unless you can explain it in very simple terms. Because we're so scattered today with all the information coming at us, we can get the wrong information, and it builds up to the point that things can't be understood. You demystify, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you very
Yes.
much. God bless you.
Mwah.
We'll be
God
right
bless
back.
you too.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss out on new videos to live the good life.